What do you get when you have 2 microphones, a bottle of bourbon, and plenty of time to kill? It's the Bourbon Talking Podcast with Billy and Jimmy. Glad you found us. Sit back, relax. Let's see what we get into.
But I didn't start drinking until.
I started drinking when I was 12.
Well, I mean,
Bourbon. Sorry.
I take that. I started drinking and all the stupid stuff. Yeah, but I right before I turned 18, like I had one of those, like everything's gonna count when 18 hits.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, all the stupid stuff's gone. So then I was kind of straight laced, and I'm a control freak, so I don't like being out of control. So I just didn't. I didn't do anything, and then it was 2016, and my job had changed, and I bought like if I drank, I would drink like Gentleman Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
So mine was actually, and again, we can repeat this conversation on the thing, but
Or we can just roll with it.
roll with it now.
Put your headphones on. Let's roll with it.
So,
Because we always miss good stuff.
Yeah.
So just try to keep this about a fist away from your mouth. Yep.
so I actually started, 10 years ago, but mine was single malt Scotch,
Oh.
and my wife had a 50th birthday party for me, and she had this company come in and brought roulette tables and poker tables. It was kind of a gambling theme. We lived over in Amelia National, and everybody was to bring me a bottle of Scotch, single malt. And I mean, there must have been, $8,000 worth of single malt Scotch brought to this party for me, which I really appreciate, which we lost most of it in the house fire, like I was just telling you 2 years ago. And it was actually a big 4-foot high bottle of Macallan that was several $1,000s.
Out of all the junk I pulled out of your house, we didn't grab that.
No, well, they busted. It was actually on display, and it actually fell.
Man.
Again, when it comes to a house fire, the most damage isn't done from the fire. It's the fire department just blowing shit down with
They wrecked
The
that
water
place.
damage.
yeah, the water damage and the fire hoses.
I watched them walk in the front door with a fire hose and it shoot right through the second story out the roof and sprayed the neighbor's house.
it was
just
like-
blew sheets of plywood off there. I was like, my God, turn that thing down just a hair.
So, and Billy will reroute, I'll edit this stuff. So this may be towards more to the end than the beginning, but yeah, it's he does wonderful things with editing. But yeah, mine was single malt, and I was actually in Scotland. I was learning a lot about the single malt scotches over there and stuff. And then while we were at the clubhouse, our bartender, who actually bought Sandy Bottoms at Main Beach, he bought that, turned it around, and sold it, and made like $6 million on it, and just walked away and retired. I think he's in Mexico right now. Anyways. But he turned me on to the bourbons because he would do a lot of bourbon tastings. He goes, hey, you got to try it. And then I think one of my first real bourbons was the Buffalo Trace. Oh, wow, because I was doing the single malt, and now I'm doing the bourbon. Like, that was actually pretty smooth. And so then we started doing the other bourbons at the clubhouse, and it was really – so then it kind of – well, since the house fire, I don't have any more Scotch, so we just been doing the bourbon stuff really solid for about 2 years now.
Yeah, probably so.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
I-
we have a
I've
lot
always
to
been
learn.
a rum guy.
Really?
Yeah,
Like you get into the rum, or you just like the rum, like the sweetness with a mixed drink or something.
yeah, that's always the route I've kind of went. And I've drank 85 truckloads of
Different rums.
Captain Morgan and Captain Coke, but I've never been like a white rum fan or something like. But when it come to like whiskeys, bourbons, Scotch, or anything like that, I would always take a very small sip and it would stop right here and just light my ass on fire. And I'm like, I don't see how, the old dusty cowboy walking into the bar and slamming the shot back. How do you do that? Because it does not go down for me. No. So over the past couple of years, I've been easing into it, and now it's my preferred go-to. I mean, that's what I want is a bourbon. I can't drink it neat yet, so today's going to be an awesome challenge for me.
I got the perfect bourbon to drink neat.
So we'll start this out. Welcome to Bourbon Talking, and we have a special guest today, Rob Worley, and we appreciate you coming over and coming on. And so
This is It's the Bourbon Talking, episode 55. All right, good. We got that out of the way.
Yeah, I got that out of the way. So, I guess what, wine, you call the expert a sommelier. What do you call a bourbon expert?
We have
there is a name for that.
Is it?
Yeah.
We came up with one yesterday.
What is it?
Drunk.
There is a name. I can't recall it. When we went to pick, I told you we got a barrel.
Yeah.
And I'll let, if y'all want, the guy that actually won the lottery to get it is a good friend of mine. He's one of the two guys that got me into bourbon. So like my bourbon story revolves around two guys, Lee and Ed.
Okay.
And Lee's the one we were all in on it, or not all of us, but several of us. And he actually got in that day and won the barrel. So when we got to go pick it, we were at is it Old Crow? I think it's Old Crow in downtown. And there's a guy there, John, and he is whatever that is.
A steward.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
We've been kicking around like experts, sommelier.
Yeah.
What is it? I mean, again, so we're such a novice at this thing. I mean, again, we're trying to come along, and you're our first expert, so I really appreciate it.
What I've learned so far is there's no right, wrong way, and that there's people that are jackasses when it comes to, well, you're drinking yours on ice, or
Right.
And the only really the best way to drink it is with other people
Yeah.
and doing exactly what you guys are doing and
That's
talking
right.
and just kind of shooting the shit.
So I'd watched this video where a guy was breaking down how to the proper way to drink it, and he said that you are supposed to take water and dilute it like 33%. He went into all that and how it. And I was like, oh, so me putting ice in my bourbon isn't ruining it, So
it sounds subjective. It could be up to the person consuming it on their preference.
So like the first time that I had Pappy, it was a real nice restaurant, and went there. And what they do is they bring an eyedropper out and distilled water and a couple drops, and they say that it opens up the bourbon and
so
kinda
just
helps
a
it.
few drops.
I mean,
and,
a couple drops, yeah.
I got you.
I've just I just prefer the flavor, and I just like, because I'm still at that point where I'm trying, like you see some people.
Actually, the guy just thought he was cute and he was roofing him.
It could have been. I mean, he's like, that's another story. Man. That's a different podcast.
That's podcast 61.
But I've done it with like the big ice cube.
Yeah.
I like that because it
big
doesn't
rock.
quite dilute it so much. But I like really just enjoying the flavor and trying to find, because people are like, I got orange peel and cigar and all
And
this
smoking
crazy
it
stuff.
out with
Yeah.
oak, yeah.
What I have found though is like, again, we have tried every variety. I think everything from a good to decent to bad. I mean, we actually had bourbon ready to drink that was kind of
Yeah, we're still
harsh.
looking for
I mean,
10.
but so in my palate, and Billy kind of hit it when we first started, was it kind of burns going down, but I have found that as the ice melts, it becomes smoother, and then I can really taste the flavors.
Right.
Whereas it doesn't have quite that burn. Maybe I'm just such an amateur with bourbons that maybe it's supposed to burn. I don't know.
That's the Kentucky Hug. That's what that is. Yeah, that's the Kentucky Hug.
Again, you're doing better than me. I just stopped crying like 3 weeks ago.
But I mean, there's certain things that I'm learning them as I go, and like one of them is like that first sip you take, coat your entire mouth, and then drink that, and then the second one is supposedly where you really start getting the flavors.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I brought up the type of glass, and
what's that called again?
the Glencairn,
Glencairn.
and it's fluted, and so what it's supposed to do is you kind of, some people twirl it, some people just kind of roll it, but it allows it to kind of open up a little bit, and then with my big schnoz, but you can really get in there, and it helps to kind of funnel the
flavors and the smells.
The smells, right? So you kind of pick it up with your olfactory senses prior to actually tasting it. So
kind of like the craft for the wine. But now, so it brings back to my next question. Again, we're so new at this, even though we've got a year's worth of podcasts. Are you supposed to let it breathe?
No. A little bit. So it's, like I got a bottle of Michter's, and I love Michter's. That's a great everyday. I mean, actually, their whiskey's a little bit better than their bourbon, which is weird. But I got a bottle, and it's probably a half drank, but the cork dried out on it, and so air got in there. And you can look at it, and I keep it just for that reason. Like you can look at it, and you can't even see through it.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of like leaving iced tea out for too long.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, but I keep it because I show it to people. I'm like, you get too much air in there, and it gets crazy.
Okay, so it's almost the reverse effect of what letting a wine breathe.
I don't know. A wine would go bad too. So
if you leave it out for too long.
Too long, but I mean, you let it breathe because.
So,
anyways,
I'll edit this out because this may make no sense and be completely wrong. But what I've heard is that you let it breathe a little bit, but then you start losing the alcohol. You start losing some flavor or something or another like that. So you don't want to leave it out for too long. Like you don't want to leave a bottle uncorked, right? But I think
because the Angel takes its shot.
Oh, that's out of the barrel
over and over and over again till it's all gone.
Yeah. But yeah, so a couple minutes, and I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time.
And that's it. That's one thing I do like about bourbon. It can be a conversation drink. You can finish a conversation and still be on the first one, kind of like a cigar.
Exactly.
The length of a cigar is based on the conversation you want to have.
So if somebody's got a little stubby,
just a quick talk. Yeah.
Did he have that Winston Churchill guy that would never shut up?
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm like, we're going to need the whole bottle because this guy's got a Churchill. We're going to be here for a while.
So I'm just starting to get into cigars a little bit too because they go really well with bourbon. They go better with Scotch. I'm just not a huge Scotch guy.
So we do bourbon and cigars all the time. Yeah. So it's
but I got these. They're the Flying Pigs, and they're from it's Van Winkle. They take the tobacco leaves and ferment them in old barrels for Pappy barrels.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'd gone on a trip and I came back, and my wife had bought me a case of the Churchills. Well, I mean, that takes an hour. It's a good hour.
That's a novel. Yeah, you're wanting to talk for a while.
And so I liked them. And so they have these, they call them I think they're Flying Pigs is what they're called, but they're little kind of stubbies. It takes the same amount of time to smoke that Churchill and that little.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a slow burn, huh?
It is a slow
We have
burn
a friend that may take you up on that challenge and see.
Yeah. And he comes out with stuff that looks like a cucumber.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, John
it's like, I mean,
is that the Sergeant Major?
Yeah, that's the
I'm
sergeant.
not gonna say anything about it then.
No, that's him. He comes out. I mean, I swear to God, it's like a cucumber. I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? Smoke it.
Yeah, we don't have.
We don't have all that time. We got to be home in like 2 hours. But that's his go-to, and I forgot he calls it the Lewinsky. The Monica Lewinsky.
Just let that one go.
It's like, oh, dude, man. It's like, anyways, we kind of got off track there. Anyways, but no, we kind of do the cigar, and the only thing I learned about the cigars is Laura and I we went to Cuba about 4 years ago, and while we did a tour of the cigar factories, and they were explaining that cigars are built lengthwise, and we're like, do you know why it's built? Like, no, I have no idea. It's for conversation. The longer the cigar, the longer the conversation. So if you plan on having a short conversation, you bring out the shorter cigar. And I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. But again, this Cuban could have been blowing smoke up my ass. I have no idea, but it sounded legit.
So did you get any good cigars while you were there?
Damn right I did. You're allowed to bring 100 of them back.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gone.
I have a
Time to go on another.
I heard a story. I'll put it this way, that a friend of mine. So I heard a story. Anyway, he saves his cigar rings, and when he goes on a cruise, any port that they go into, he changes the rings on the Cuban so he can bring them back in.
Well, right now,
because you're allowed
customs, you can bring 100 of them back.
100.
Is it still that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I think maybe he's trying to get out of paying duty on them. That might be what it is.
You didn't have to pay duty.
No?
No.
Oh. All right. Well, shows what I know.
Yeah, well, maybe, hey, he feels good about it because he thinks he's getting over on something.
That could change next week, though.
Well, sir, I tell you what kind of bourbon did you bring us today?
So I had a couple bottles.
That one looks dusty.
This is the one that sold me on bourbon. This is what changed me. I tell you, Lee and Ed, right? The two guys. So Ed, both of these guys have been drinking bourbon for a long time. They have a great flavor profile that's very similar to what I like, and they enjoy good bourbon. So there's no, I won't say any names, but there's no, garbage in their house.
Right.
So I got, right off the boat, I'm not starting with anything. I'm starting with the good stuff.
They're not going to just pull out the Jack Daniels black bottle.
So I was debating on which one to bring, and then I watched your podcast from the other day, and you had the Colonel E.H. Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, okay, well, that answers it. So this is another Buffalo Trace product. It was not one of the ones that you read of the 5 ones. It's hard to find. I stumbled on it, complete accident. I was in a liquor store, and I saw it, and it just kind of looks plain. Right, nothing special about it. And I started talking to one of the guys. And he's like, "Listen," he goes, "It's amazing." He goes, "I can't believe they put it out here on the shelf." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I got it, and this is, that's why I brought the glasses.
Perfect.
The vanilla, the cherry, like it blows you away. And it's a low proof, which some people like high proof, some people like the lower stuff.
The high proof burns going down.
It all burns going down. Some just a little bit more.
Exactly.
Now, that being said, I got a bottle of Stag a few months ago, and that drink's smoother than this, and that's 133.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
So the proof has nothing to do with the burn.
I told a buddy of mine, I said, I showed him the bottle when I got it, and at the end of the day, I said, all right, that's it. It was Friday. I'm like, it's time for some Stag. And his reply to me was, proceed with caution. I'm like, all right, okay. ha.
Right.
So I had a pour. I had a second pour. I had dinner and a third pour and a nap.
Down goes Fraser.
I guess my pour is probably about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. So it wasn't a lot, but it goes down so smooth. It was like boom, lights out. So
Wow.
Yeah, Hancocks Presidents Reserve. And like I said, it's this is the one that just nailed it for me.
Well, perfect.
So I will.
Well, thank you for bringing it and the glasses as well.
And like I said, the only right way to drink bourbon is with friends. So if you guys want to throw this on some ice, I will not be offended.
No. I want to try it your
today.
way first because hey, God loves a trier.
Yep.
And I will definitely try this.
I can smell it.
Oh yeah, definitely smell it. Smells good.
Mm-hmm.
Tastes good.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is. That's a good choice. I like that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's good.
This one's got more orange in it. And this
You're-
is a
you're-
single barrel as well. So
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, in the glass, I can actually taste the flavors and the smells out of it compared to my
Isn't that funny how that makes such a
my
difference?
rock glass over there
Yeah.
that I throw ice in and
And I in the beginning, I was kind of tinkering around with different glasses and stuff too, and I was trying to be cool. And I got the crystal, glasses, and it looks great in a picture. And somebody told me about these and explained it to me a little bit better than I can explain it. And I started doing that. I was like, there's a lot to it. It really is.
There is, yeah.
Yep.
it was. I don't know if you heard it. I think it was not the last podcast, the podcast before. There was a couple of guys drinking bourbon, and they were horrible. And they took forever, and it's like 275,000 followers. I'm like, what the hell? These guys are boring, and they're not even like. I felt like I knew more about bourbon than they did.
Jimmy came back to me. He's like, "What are we doing?
What are
We're
we
so
doing
much-
wrong? These guys are like,
We're so much better than they are."
and they're like, these guys were like dry. I mean, had like no humor. They weren't even conversation. I'm like,
You know, the worst part about that is, if I recall that correctly, because I listened to that one, didn't your wife tell you about it?
my wife did tell me about it. Yes.
They got so many more followers and they're terrible.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. My wife's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think we're funny. We're drinking bourbon, but okay, they drink bourbon differently than we do. They drink bourbon kind of like what we're doing today.
Right.
The experience of drinking the bourbon, the flavors, and talking about the different aspects of the bourbon. You know, to the glass, to the bourbon, to the smells. Whereas, again, the podcast is the bourbon talk, and it's usually us just getting hammered and talking shit about the events of the day.
Right.
And then we just kind of like, "Well, what do you think of the bourbon?" You know, and what does most drunk people usually rate a bourbon? Yeah, it's pretty good. You know, I got drunk.
Right.
But it's at the end of the day, you know, it's like, but there has been some bourbons that's like, "Oh my God, this thing is like horrible. There's no way I'm getting drunk on this," you know, and it's like, but and again, I mean, I like this. It's the first time I've done neat on here. I gotta say, this is probably the first time I've ever done neat and bourbon to start with.
Oh, I've done it many times at home, but like that much in a glass takes me like 2 hours to work through, you know. So I've done Buffalo Trace and Angel's Envy straight.
Angel's Envy's got a punch to it.
Yeah,
It's got a flavor punch too, but
yeah. And it's still, I can do it, but it's tough.
Takes you a while.
And I do it in the privacy of my own home, just me
Well,
and my
it's
dog.
the glass. You're doing it wrong.
And that is making such a,
yes.
yeah, it's hard to say, man.
Again, we're learning. Again,
Yeah,
we're a year into
absolutely.
this, and it's like, hey, and we met Rob last weekend at a charity event, Jeepers Leapers or Leapers Jeepers and whatever it was, and
yeah.
you know, it's like, and he's wearing a Buffalo Trace jacket. You know, it's like, don't look at my jacket. I'm like,
Well, because of your dog, Basil Hayden.
Basil.
Yeah. So Basil Hayden, it's funny because Ed, again, goes back to those two guys. Ed, that was one of his kind of go-tos, or still is one of his kind of
It
go-tos.
is one of mine too.
It's a great, just kind of,
every day. If
every
you
day,
want to
yeah.
have a nice little after a rough day, have a glass and chill.
doesn't have a ton of flavor, but it's just, it's kind of that just relax and
Now, and so they've got the normal base, and then they got the rye. And me, the rye is a little more harsh than the regular one, to be honest with you. But I think all ryes actually do for some reason.
So I stayed away from ryes because I kept hearing, like when I first started, I would, like, you know, you watch videos and you listen to people and they're like, "Oh, that was spicy." I tore my stomach up as a kid eating spicy food, like just going crazy with it. So I have to be careful it's spicy. Okay, I stayed away from it. And I was thinking it was that burn, kind of like what you're talking about, where it just gets stuck right here and doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking that was what it was. And then I tried it. I started kind of trying a few here and there, and actually tried one on accident. I'm like, this is really good. And I'm like, it's a rye. Seriously? But it's different ones are different, I guess is the best way. I mean, just kind of like regular bourbons, but some of the ryes tend to be a little more spicier in a spice sense, like a clove or, you know, something like that, pepper or something like that, more than the actual spicy, like, my mouth's on fire.
Right. No, and I get that. And kind of like we were saying, the rye is kind of got that lingering burn, whereas, you know, not like the 100+ proof that we drink. It's like, wow, you know, it kind of burns going down and it goes away, whereas the ryes kind of linger.
Right.
But anyways, you know, that's just my experience. Again, I'm not a what's the word we use? Not sommelier, steward. Not like a steward. I'm far from it. I am what we call the amateur of the amateurs, but I'm trying to learn. You know, and I'm not trying to be closed-minded. I really love the taste of bourbon. I want to get to know it, and you know, and kind of like wine, you can actually kind of see the lines running in the glass here. It's pretty cool.
So we had to move out of the area. When we moved back, my wife, two of the people she went to high school with in Jacksonville are married to each other. And so they came over and he's like, you know, I like bourbon. My bourbon collection was maybe about a little bit better than half of what it is now. And so they came over, him and another guy and his wife, and we were going to go down to dinner. And so they came, and so I let him try this. And because he was like, they were kind of the same way. So like I was going to be their Ed or Lee, right? They were just getting into bourbon. They just wanted to kind of play. And I'm like, look, first of all,
like a shaman that's going to take you down the
Take
path
you
of
through the journey.
ayahuasca or something, you know.
So, so we tried several bourbons, and I told him, I said, look, I said, this is my, if I can only have one bourbon for the rest of my life, it would be this. And part of it is the nostalgia of that. That's the one that really nailed it in the beginning. And then it's a really good bourbon. I mean, you know.
And the Buffalo Trace is mine. I get it, because that was the first one I have. Like, wow, this is like really cool. And I've been drinking scotch for all these years.
So, but I told him, I said, listen, the problem with this is I never see it. Like it's just never, and like nobody, everybody knows about Pappy. They know about Weller, Blanton's.
Yeah. How much can you enjoy it when you can never find it?
Yeah. So the crazy thing is I was down to one bottle left of this, and his birthday was I think it was in January, and I was going to let him have my last bottle. I was going to give it to him as a birthday gift.
That's an upstanding guy, right?
That is an outstanding guy. I'm like, I got a birthday coming up, too.
My birthday's January 15th.
I got one in May.
And so I sent his wife a picture of it, and I said, we got to they live down in Jacksonville, so we got to get together, and I want to give this to him. And it was like a day or two later, he's in Total Wine in Jacksonville, and they had more. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not giving him this bottle now. And by the way, while you're there, can you grab me too?
Yeah.
Yeah, they call me Indian giver. How?
But that was the first time in almost 3 years he'd been looking for it, and the first time he had found it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, anyway, you can give me another little swig here.
It gets better by the sip. doesn't
It does.
And you can tell he's not an alcoholic like we are, Billy. I mean, he doesn't fill the glass up.
Yeah.
You don't want to
I'm
go
not
back to
just
too much
kidding.
air.
I'm just kidding. We're doing it wrong again.
You're doing it wrong.
We're still doing it wrong. You know, it's like I thought every alcoholic drinker is supposed to like fill it up.
Yeah. You know, due to science, you can actually get above the rim on some things, you know, if you look at it close enough.
Yeah, no, it's and so yeah, so we got our bourbon table, we got our bourbon barrel down here holding up our table. We're trying to get a little podcast room here, and so and the wife had the bourbon talking sign made for us, and
That's really cool.
so we're trying to maybe one day.
All right,
Well,
so
I mean,
Rob,
you got 4 listeners now.
I
and
got
I'm
4
gonna
listeners.
Tell at least 2 people about it.
exactly. We're moving on up, like the Jeffersons.
I mean, we had 2 last week. I mean, we've doubled. No, and I really.
So, have you ever been abducted by a UFO, or have you seen Bigfoot? That's what everyone wants to know.
And since you listen to some of the podcasts, you know our conspiracy theorist guy over here. I mean,
Of course, the CIA guy says that.
yeah, exactly.
No and no. No and no.
No and no. Damn.
And
Not that I want to talk about it
and
anyway.
so you got anytime you hear
That
anything in
anal
here,
probing was hell.
anything you hear in here, you're like, oh, they're just way out of line. We gave you a button over there.
Oh, so that's taking me back.
there we go.
That's a Jersey or a New Yorker there. That's rough. I had to live up there for
Oh, he's a rough
20
guy.
years.
Yeah, and so no, it's no. Like I said, we appreciate it. And again, gosh, we're learning something today, and we can never get a sponsor out there. We can really.
So, do you have ice in here?
No.
So what I would suggest is
we
try
don't,
it.
huh?
Is throw a little bit on some ice and do the side by side, because then you get that. Hey.
Oh, you got more glasses, right?
And we get another drink.
Oh, you got the.
that.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Okay, we won't dirty out his glasses.
No. I was gonna say, if you're going to do it with ice, I would do it in one of those glasses.
All right, you want to take a TV timeout?
Yeah, the TV timeout starting right now.
All right. Well,
So I'm pouring light.
please, no,
But-
no waste, no need wasting.
Well, no, just try it. And you'd prefer to do it neat. Which was there a difference
He
in
gets
ice?
the pebbles. He gets crushed. I like the big cubes, but I don't have a big cube maker anymore after my house fire burned down.
Oh yeah, if you haven't noticed, we're back.
So was it a total loss?
Yeah, 100%. Walked away with the clothes on our back. Lost an English bulldog in a fire. Bruce rode the fire out for 2.5 hours.
No kidding.
Yep.
Yeah, fireman was in there because they will not enter the structure until all flames are extinguished. And I'm out there screaming at the fence, dude, they're right there in that room. Let me go get them, you know? Had to just sit there and watch the house burn.
Were you on duty?
No, I was at work and saw the smoke out my window, and I was like, Jimmy, what's on fire in your neighborhood? He's like, it's my house. Get there as quick as you can. So
I was
just
in
hauled
Yulee, and
ass.
I was coming back in my Jeep. I had my Jeep doing 130 down A1A.
That's not
flying.
easy.
And I said, Billy, you're closer to my house. Go get my pets out of my house. Go.
The fire chief was there. I've known him for years. I was like, man, let me get. They're right there. And he's like, you're not going in that house. You know, the house is gone. You're not going in there. And so 45 minutes, an hour after I got there, they finally made entry. And they asked me where I thought the animals were. And I told them. He walked in, and the sheetrock had fallen onto the ground. Everything was black. And as he walked in, a large sheet of sheetrock fell on the ground right behind him. And he turned around and looked, and the clump of sheetrock stood up and walked out the back door. It was Bruce.
Wow.
He just hunkered right down at the foot of the bed.
And all that wet drywall saved him.
He's like, you can call your animals all you want. They get into like a panic, fight or flight, and they're gonna hunker down. They're not gonna come to you. We're out there yelling for the dog. But Bruce come walking out the back of the house, and I was like, Bruce. He looked at me and coughed, and smoke came out. We jumped the fence and put oxygen on him, and it was
spent
wild.
4 days in ICU.
Yeah.
And we picked him up. I mean, he's got a little PTSD, but for the most part, no burns or anything. Little couple of second-degree burns on his stomach, but he healed up.
Yeah, in his chest a
A
little
little
bit.
chest, but he
That's crazy.
he's the bomb, man. He
man.
came out of that thing a hero. I mean, they had a couple of charity events for him and stuff, raising money for his medical expenses. I mean, damn ICU was like
It
expensive.
had to be expensive. Yeah. Wow.
Anyways. So yeah, all right. So I've got the neat and I've got on ice, and you know what?
I don't want to say anything till after he does it. It's too mild. It's too chill now. It's like where did
No,
all
I'm
the
actually
flavors
I
go?
actually got a different opinion, but go ahead. Your
So
turn.
to me now,
Yeah.
it's knocked out half the flavors. It goes down like water.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy, and by damn, it's not as fun to drink.
See, I
And
know.
that's crazy because this is how I drink all my bourbons right here.
You know what? And I'm going to actually go a different direction here. And again, it's subjective. I can actually taste the flavors more on ice.
Really?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Just take a sip of
it
that.
is.
I mean, I can literally taste the flavors now more than when I did on the neat.
See, for me, I almost pick up more whiskey flavor. Like that corn, I pick up more of the corn.
That comes out in the cold,
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
But the orange, the cherry, all
Yep,
that
all
stuff,
the notes,
they seem to.
Yeah.
Have,
You know, I kind of was.
Disappeared.
I'm such an amateur. I kind of went the opposite direction. This is good, and I can actually.
Now I did watch you take a sip of that before you did that, and I did.
Maybe that enhanced it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, some people like whiskey.
Well, we've said it several times, you know.
See, I was crushed at an early age, though.
All bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons.
Right.
Yeah. This was a moonshine accident.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's funny.
It's either
Yeah,
moonshine
I
or
was-
Southern Comfort.
I was 10 years old. We're shrimping on the shrimp boat, and it's hot.
Oh boy.
I mean, it's middle August. We're dying. Grandpa, where's the water jug? We always carry a water jug. Oh, it's in the bow of the boat behind the life vest. So I crawl up there and I grab it, pop the cap. I took 3 hard gulps before I realized what it was, and I just. But Grandpa's like, "Oh boy, that's the wrong jug. Give me that jug."
That's for first aid.
Yeah, your jug's up there a little further.
So my father,
That's rough.
my father and my grandfather are from here as well. My father graduated high school on the island, and at 12 years old, my father used to have to walk down to the city jail and bail my grandfather out of jail
Oh boy.
and walk home because my grandfather ran moonshine out of here.
What,
No kidding.
what year was that?
Oh God, this had to be in the 50s, 40s.
Because my grandfather was the sheriff in 1927 to 1938 down here, and I got his arrest book at home.
So yeah, my dad would say the phone would ring in the middle of the night, and his stepmom would go in there and kick the bed. Hey, father's in jail again. Go get him. So my dad would actually have to walk to the jailhouse, and they would release him on his own recognizance, and and they'd walk home. Like, and my grandfather, hey, can I take my car? No. Come back tomorrow. We'll give you back your car, minus all the stuff in it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my
Who was
dad,
the town drunk in Annie Griffith?
Otis.
Otis. Hey, wait, that's my grandfather's name.
Yeah, no, but
That's my name, actually.
He wasn't the town drunk. He was just the town moonshiner, and he lived right in the center of the island, and he had and we didn't realize it until my grandfather passed away. We were kind of cleaning up his, he had a couple of acres over on Clinch. We were actually cleaning up, and we went to this old tractor trailer in the back, and we'd always seen it, and he's always said, stay away from there. We open up the back, and there's enough copper in there that everybody retired from.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, okay, this guy delivered. Whereas, now I got friends that actually make their own little home brew moonshine and, the apple pie. And
My grandfather was slick. He would tear it down, and it looked like other things. The steel looked like this and that and the other. It had it all spread out all over. But you could, there's that. It had it. Once he assembled everything, it was pretty damn nice copper steel. But
it's funny. I actually pulled my grandfather's record. Not one up. He never had an arrest on his record. It was just
So he wasn't running it; he was making it.
He was making it and running it.
Oh, okay.
He was doing both. He was kind of a one-stop shop. And
my grandfather made it too. There's
Entrepreneur.
a nice freshwater spring over on Martin's Island. That's where he get his water from. That had his still out. That's owned by Fort Clinch now.
So you want to hear a separate sad story of my grandfather?
Wait, what's the statute of limitations on moonshine?
Who knows?
Yeah, okay.
It's legal now. You're allowed to make
At least a generation.
Yeah, exactly. But
It's for municipal purposes.
so my grandfather had a sawmill up in Blackshear, Georgia, and just during the Great Depression, he was telling us a story that this guy came up and said, "Hey, I want to open a retail store, and if you give me the lumber, I'll make you a 50% partner." And my grandfather's like, "It's depression. I gotta have money. I gotta feed my family. I can't do that." And he goes, the guy up the road, the next sawmill, he may do it. And he goes, "All right, yeah, I appreciate it, And so the guy went up to the next sawmill, and the sawmill up there said, "You can have everything on my lot, man. I haven't sold shit in 2 years." And that was Mr. Sears. Mr. Roebuck was trying to open a retail store.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the time your family almost got rich. Once.
Almost, It's like, so I asked my grandfather all the time. It's like, well, if you could have done things differently, would you? He goes, no. I'd have done the same. I had to feed my family,
Right.
And with Mr. Sears closing his sawmill down by giving all his lumber to open a retail store, I actually started making a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
My great uncle owned all of Blunt Island and sold it for less than $1 an acre.
they
My
wish you had to do that all over again, too.
Now, right?
And his brother, so they tell me, his brother invented the dual neck guitar and sold it to Gibson for $500. He made one dual neck guitar.
Well, I've never made a stupid decision like
Yeah.
that.
That's
that I
a
know
pretty.
of.
That's a pretty dumb one.
Wow. Hey,
I've never been smart enough to come up with something like that either.
Right,
But,
yeah.
I agree. I'm trying to come up with something. My grandfather was like, he was just at the right place at the right time and chose a different decision, and he had the first shot at it, and he could have been
What a cool story, though.
Doubly and Roebuck, but no, it's Sears and Roebuck. It's like, oh God.
Nobody would have pronounced that right anyway. You have a hard time with your name.
Well, we could have done DNR,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it wouldn't.
And
It wouldn't have
DNRs,
worked out.
and it's
Yeah.
another-
I don't think it would have worked.
Well, it didn't work today either because they're both defunct.
Man, yeah, exactly.
if you would have sold at the right time.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly.
Man, you
it.
could buy. It used to be. They bought houses. Remember in the Sears and Roebuck catalog, you could pick out a house and that.
Oh, yeah.
all the
And assemble it yourself.
assemble it yourself.
Well, you can do the same thing on Amazon. Amazon has done nothing different than what what Roebuck did, except make it digital online. That's the same thing. You can buy houses on Amazon.
So I was having a conversation. This is way off topic, but
No,
you bring
there's
up
no-
Amazon.
that's-
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I know. Is if you wanted to be a disruptor right now, Amazon's really got nobody. I mean, I guess that this other Temu's kind of trying to get in on that,
yeah.
but like they own it, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Lock,
because you
stock,
think
and
about it,
barrel.
because you can literally get anything you want, and oh, by the way, it'll be there tomorrow, and it's free shipping. Like how, like, and they got the whole like, how could you be a disruptor in there? That's what I need to figure out. And then if I, sell it for $500, and you can call me stupid. If you
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's a good point. It's like
But I was having that conversation with my sons a couple months ago, and I'm like, if somebody could figure out how to do that, because like there's no real competition, and then all of a sudden, I guess it was the Super Bowl was when I started seeing that Temu or whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I thought that was a scam app that was selling Alibaba garbage.
You can't order it. You have to download the app, and I'm like, nah.
Well, I did it.
Okay.
And so
Billy's,
'cause
in
there's
kind
some
of technology,
scam,
Billy's always
and
the
I did
first.
it.
yeah, there's some. It was real stupid, and I did it. But anyway, there was. So
Hey, Billy,
we
how's
were
that
looking
QuickTime
at,
working on your computer?
It's garbage. It's not working at all. So, I was buying a GMRS handheld radio, and it was like free or $20 or something. They're already not that expensive anyway. So I bought one, and then that led me to buy a little vacuum cleaner for my Jeep, and that led me to get a free Dremel tool. I was like, well, I don't have a Dremel either. Dude, this Dremel tool came into my house, and it looks like it's a Dremel, and they shrunk it down to where it's this big, and it takes it. I was like, what is this horse shit? And then the vacuum cleaner came in.
It's the same size as that pen.
It's all for like miniature people. So like
China.
If you buy anything, I wasn't going there, but yeah, that may be the issue.
It's the Bourbon Talking
Yeah, it's Bourbon
Podcast.
Talking.
Welcome.
Yeah. I don't want to piss off the Chinese overlords or nothing, but make your products actually as big as the photograph that you're advertising this stuff. It's
The Chinese-
actual. The pictures should say actual size.
The Chinese overlord or Amazon. Which one is it?
Man, Jeff Bezos, he started out just selling books.
Yes, out
You
of his
know?
garage.
Isn't that crazy?
And I think it was like used books on top of that.
Yeah, I think so. Probably got free inventory and whatever.
But I mean, who else? I mean, can get a divorce, stroke a $30 billion check, and it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like, really? Most of us, I'm like crying all the way,
fine.
thinking suicidal thoughts. I mean, it's
Right.
like $30 billion. No, this
Jumping out
guy's
of
like,
3-foot first story windows.
this guy
over
goes,
and over.
I just won't buy a mega yacht this year.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, really? But anyway, but no, I mean, Bezos has gone Chinese, and again, it was literally, we go back to the house to burn down. I bought a battery the size of my cell phone. I plugged it in to charge it, and it took my house down within 20 minutes.
No kidding.
No kidding. And you cannot sue Amazon. They're protected by federal law. They're like, we're
Because
just
they
a
didn't
pass
make the
through.
product. They're not a brick and mortar. They're just a pass through.
They're a pass through. But wait a minute.
Nothing to see here.
So, and I'm bitching to all these attorneys and congressmen, and I'm like, let me get this right. I go onto an Amazon website. I give Amazon my money. Amazon sends me an email. Hey, we've received your request. Amazon driver delivered it to my house, and I have camera
they're
footage.
all subcontractors.
No.
That was
This
my
was
next-
an Amazon driver wearing blue.
Yep, and he's a sub.
It doesn't matter. He's still representing Amazon. They
To a
delivered it,
certain extent. That's the whole
but you
issue.
can't sue Amazon. I'm like, are you kidding
You
me?
get T-boned by an Amazon truck, good luck. That's actually
Oh
not
my-
owned by Amazon. They're
Really?
all subcontractors.
Again.
Oh yeah, there's me and a friend of mine started thinking about doing our own business, and it's a franchise distribution business that Amazon will help you set up, but all the liabilities on you. The truck's yours, the maintenance is yours, the upkeep's yours, the insurance liability. They just give you products to deliver. That's it. And that's how they keep their hands clean of all these liabilities.
So
and
the
everything.
fire inspector came to our house. He does his investigation. He goes, "Hey, I got to leave early. I apologize. We just had a Amazon package explode in Missouri." I'm like, "What?"
And he had just left from one.
Yeah, he just left from
So,
another
like,
fire.
This guy seems to only do Amazon fires.
No,
This wasn't like a local guy.
No, this was an Amazon employee
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
who does nothing. They do 50 fire inspections a week of Amazon products burning houses down.
Oh boy.
But yet you cannot sue Amazon.
Nope.
Now, can you go after the manufacturer? Or?
Great.
You
They're
want
in
to go to
Sichuan,
China?
Good
You want to go
job.
to China?
Good
Good luck. You cannot sue China. We actually looked into that, but no, Chinese says we'll review your case and let you know if you can sue it.
Okay.
There's
You're still
never
waiting, right?
There's never been one case to ever get sued. None. Hundreds of thousands of cases against manufacturers in China, and not once ever gone to court in China. You cannot sue them.
But that's the world we live in.
It's the world we live in. But again, that's why I hate Bezos. But again, I'm still ordering off flipping Amazon.
For convenience. And,
Yep.
and
I mean, being on the road, I travel a lot. You know, it's like, you know what? I'll have all this stuff at the house waiting for my new project when I get home. So I don't have to go out to Lowe's and Home Depot and buy all this
Right.
stuff. I can just start my project when I get home. It's all sitting in boxes in my foyer out there. You know, but again, it's the convenience of it. But Amazon's got to assume some responsibility.
Or not.
Or not. We might not have him back.
I know this bourbon. Oh, he's coming back. There's no question about that. Because if this is the first bourbon he brought us,
No shit. I want to see some really good stuff.
And, I mean, this is
This is
again,
the high-
this is my first love. So
Hey, this is high end for you and I, but man,
yeah.
I want to see what his high end is.
well, we've got to rate this bourbon, and I already have my number. I don't know about
Well,
you.
we got to give him a pen and a pad. Well, he's already drinking. Well, we still got to get his number.
Mhm.
So when's the U.S. Army going to like invade Dearborn, Michigan, and take it back?
they might be outgunned.
I mean, it is the largest Muslim population in the United States. There's actually direct flights from Saudi Arabia straight into Dearborn, so Saudi nationals can get medical procedures. But they're over there chanting in Dearborn, Michigan, "Death to America."
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's like, really, when are we going to take back Dearborn?
Yeah, well, you know, I am a constitutionalist. They are exercising their First Amendment rights. But if you hate the place so damn much,
Leave.
go.
Yeah,
Go
you're not
away.
from here.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, you might want to see if it works.
It does.
Oh, okay, good. We left some open. They kind of dried out.
So I remember listening to, you've probably heard of Glenn Beck.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Glenn Beck. Yeah.
So like years ago, I was living outside of Philadelphia, and he was on the AM radio station there. And I drove a lot, was in my truck a lot, so I listened to a lot of AM radio, talk radio, Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck
yeah,
and
exactly.
some other guys. Yeah. And I remember probably 20 years ago, him talking about Sharia law in Michigan
Yes.
and Minnesota.
Yes.
And thinking, like, I mean, I like him a lot.
He's
a
he's
little
lost his
extreme
marble.
sometimes.
Yes, he kind of,
Yeah.
but he's spot on.
So I watched
wasn't
him
wrong.
before he was crazy, when he went crazy to the chalkboard days.
Yep.
And then now he's,
Yeah, but we thought Ross Perot was crazy on the whiteboard
yeah,
too.
we did.
But
we did.
now we think about it.
Yeah.
Now we're looking back saying,
But
these guys are like spot on.
I don't want to put Glenn Beck, because I watch almost all his shows. I don't want to put him in the same category as Alex Jones.
Right. Yes.
But have
he
you,
got there
have
for
you
a little
seen
bit, yeah.
Alex Jones' record for being right?
No.
It's
don't scare me. You're
incredible.
going to scare me.
Oh, it's 95%. Alex Jones knocks it out of the park, and he's been telling us about this stuff for 20 years.
Right.
But he's 20 years in the future telling you, so he sounds like an absolute nut job.
Right.
But guess what we're doing? We're now eating bugs in our food.
Yeah.
He talked about that 12 years ago. And you're like, oh my God, Alex Jones is drunk off his ass today. Well, no, it's true.
And most people thought Glenn Beck was, off his rocker, and that's why they fired him off of Fox.
Yep. And there's video evidence proof that Alex Jones predicted 9/11. He said that they were going to hit planes into New York Trade Center like days before, and you can't dispute it. He said it, and by damn, it happened.
The crazy thing is I remember on 9/11, I had just moved from Jackson. I left Jacksonville September 4th.
Yeah.
And moved up to just outside of Philadelphia.
Really?
2001. And as soon as my wife now, she called me on the phone that Tuesday morning, and she's like, "Have you?" And I said, "No, I haven't turned the TV on." And she's like, "Turn the TV on." She goes, "You." And as soon as I saw it, I said, "Osama bin Laden." I don't know why. I listened to a lot of talk radio. I knew it was Osama bin Laden then.
Because you saw the hearings with Oliver North, who said, "What scares you the most?" Osama bin Laden. Why do you have a $75,000 security system on your house? He said, Osama bin Laden.
Yep.
He is going to, he said that in Congress, in hearings, years before it happened. And sure enough, Osama bin Laden did it.
Yep.
The real interesting thing was Donald Rumsfeld getting on September 8th and talking about how the Pentagon lost $8.2 trillion, and they're trying to, they failed a budget, which they do that every year now. It's fine. But they're trying to find out where they have an office set up in the Pentagon. They're trying to find, and that's right where the plane hit.
I've heard that.
Yep. Yeah. So, but nobody talked about that on September 12th. Yeah. Anyway. Conspiracy time with Billy.
Yes, there we go. And that's another podcast. But today we're talking bourbon.
We are. Dude, this was probably one of the greatest, most informative podcasts we've actually heard.
Yeah, and might even get like 5 listeners.
Yeah, we may.
But hey, I'll throw out first.
Go ahead. What you got?
You know what? And I appreciate you bringing the glasses. We're doing it neat. And again, first time I've done bourbon neat on a podcast here. I actually enjoyed it, and I appreciate it. I'm actually going to give it an 8.
So I'm still new. I told Jimmy the other day, I wonder what a 10 is. This is the best bourbon I've ever had.
No kidding.
But I can't say it's a 10 because until I've drank it for years and go, yep, that Hancock was the best I ever had, I got to give it a 9.5.
I think I'm right in the middle.
Oh, he is in the middle. Look at that. Yeah,
Nice.
like damn sure is.
And I'm not doing the average on that. You guys figure that out. Nailed it.
Oh my God, what a cheater! It was that third number that screwed him up.
Yeah, threw a 0.8 in there. Well, it's going to come out with a 3 something.
I only went to 1 decimal. I mean, I think I saw one like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's
an average to figure out.
Absolutely, that's funny.
Guys, we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We damn sure had a good time making
Rob,
it.
thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing
pleasure.
bourbon and your knowledge. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. That
Good
was
times.
awesome. We'll see you guys on the next one. Out here.
Out.